Claro, ahora se tiene que tirar, viejo. Tirate. ¡Ahí te gol!
Go! Go! Come on! Come on, we can do it! Come on!
¡Haga tiempo ahora! ¡Haga tiempo ahora, viejo! ¡Eso es!
That's it!
La emoción en un grito de gol. Todo el mundo en una sola voz. Te digo. De la mano. Venimos del sur, norte, oriente, occidente. Vamos para Rusia, que allá está mi gente. No importa tu raza, tu credo, tu bandera. Existen mil colores y una sola tierra. Desde Asia hasta Oceanía. Todos viven en alegría. Europeos, africanos y latinoamericanos. No importa dónde vengan porque todos somos hermanos. De la mano del 10. De la mano del 10.
Amigos de teleSUR,
Friends of
muy buenas noches.
teleSUR, good
bienvenidos de
evening
la
and
mano del
welcome
10.
to the La Mano del
Estamos un
Diez.
poco tristones.
We are a little bit sad, Diego.
No, yo
Well,
realmente
not quite.
Conmovido porque cuando yo hablé con Infantino la primera vez, digo, o sea, cambia todo en la FIFA. Se van los ladrones, se van los arreglos, se van todos. Y hoy vi un robo monumental en la cancha. Yo le pido disculpas a todo el pueblo colombiano, pero los jugadores no tenemos la culpa de esto. Acá hay un señor que decide, un árbitro que ya, googleándolo, no se lo puede poner a dirigir un partido de la magnitud y de las cosas que se jugaba el pueblo colombiano en estos octavos de final.
Usted lo tiene bien claro, el árbitro. Lo conoce.
Yo lo tengo clarísimo. Heiger, americano. Qué casualidad. Qué casualidad que fue el que inventó un penal para Brasil. Que Nigeria lo acusó en la FIFA y le dieron 6 meses de suspensión. Y parece que
Colina,
lo digo con todo el respeto.
and I say this with all the respect Colina deserves, because as a referee, I think he was great. But as the one choosing the refs, I would like to apologize because I don't think he's doing right, and I would like to apologize to Colombian people.
What are the things that you object from Geiger's
The penalty.
performance?
The penalty. It wasn't a penalty. It's a foul, but by Harry Kane. Harry Kane was the one who committed the foul. Listen, he is watching everything ahead of him, and when he turns his head, Kane is already on the floor. So he's watching what's happening with Kane directly.
Absolutely.
And you can see this with the camera in the back, that he's watching exactly what was happening in the first post.
And then there was a hit in the
And all
ground.
of a sudden, he turns and sees Kane already down. But Kane already had a hook against Sanchez. And he had already taken Sanchez to the floor. When he sees that Kane dives, then he sanctions the penalty. So there are no criteria behind this, no criteria. Then we spoke Well, we often say that if you dive, you're going to get booked, right? But then the rules state that you can request the VAR, right? So why didn't he use the VAR?
To be able to see the whole sequence that he did not see in the real time.
Exactly.
Saying that with these type of things in the area, everybody is a part of this.
And we know about this in Argentinian football, in Italian football, most importantly, mark and man marking. You don't mark in zones, in set pieces, wherever it may be. It is all one-on-one, one-on-one, man-on-man, man-on-man. And this was the same thing. With English, it was the same thing. But now England wasn't able to break the defense of Colombia. Colombia played as they could, with what they had, without James, and without someone to create something. But yes, I screamed Colombia's goal as if I was the one who
I
headed
heard you,
it,
Diego.
because it really cannot happen. This is something that we need to do something about. As the captain of the Legends, I would like to tell Infantino that this cannot be left as is. This is a fatal mistake for a whole country. It's not about Maradona who's saying this, not about Victor Hugo, not about teleSUR. It's not about the world. It is about a country. It is about a people who today have their hopes on their team, and they had illusion with their team, so that this could be more transparent. That's why I told Infantino, I'm here if we change everything. If not, I will not be here.
Talking about the match, Diego. Within the match, I saw that Colombia was more convinced in trying to play extra time than anything.
Yes, during the first 90.
Creo que los pibes de Subway
The lads,
no entendí nunca los cambios.
well, I never understood the substitutions of Southgate. I did not understand how England wanted to play. And as a manager,
Me parece que sacar a Sterling y meter a
bringing
Dyer
out Sterling and bringing in Dyer,
y hacerle
well,
gol de cabeza es
that
una locura.
that is insane for me.
He gave him a big hand, Colombia.
Of course.
Pero Colombia
But Colombia,
muere de pie.
well, they died on their feet. They died on their feet, Victor Hugo.
Me gustaría
And I would like
irme este mundial
to leave this World Cup
siendo como argentino que soy.
as the Argentine that I
Un
am.
aplauso para
I would like to stand up and applaud Colombia,
sobre todo para Mina.
and specifically Jerry Mina.
El desgarro que tenía.
Even though he had torn his thigh
Jugó los 30,
after
30 minutos.
the goal he scored, he played for 30 more minutes,
Fue la única pelota
and
que
he was the only one who tackled and was the only one who had a chance
Inglaterra, que es
to score a goal. And England,
el que entró el Rose,
well, Rose was the one who crossed the ball, and Ospina was not able to get there, and that was the only chance created. Then they did not create anything after that. England
corrió mucho,
ran a lot. They were very, very tired, and penalties, well, we had, and I'm using the railway because we were such a part of the game
en los penales.
that during the penalty kicks,
Uribe que le dio
even Uribe,
oxígeno al mediocampo,
Mateus Uribe, who
al mediocampo,
brought more air to the midfield of Colombia in order for them to keep the ball,
salida,
in order to attack a little bit more,
a errar, ¿no?
and then
Los penales
he was the one who missed his penalty.
hay que
But penalties,
tener
well,
coraje.
whenever
por
you
no decir otra
take
cosa.
a penalty, you need to have enough courage to
Yes,
take them.
absolutely. You have to have courage.
It's not easy. It's not easy.
No, not at all. I would never kick a penalty kick in my life. They would have to push me into the penalty spot for me to be okay because I suffer so much. But do you know what I was really sad about? The Ospina's save. It was magnificent.
Incredible, incredible. The best penalty that I've seen where a keeper is able to save a
He
penalty.
was fully horizontal when he flew
Impressive
towards the
how
ball.
he used his arm.
Henderson
Because Henderson, who plays at Liverpool,
le pega con un fierro.
he hit it very, very hard, and I knew that he was going to do so, and I told the lads, this is what's going to happen, and it's recorded. And I said he's going to kick it hard, and he did so to the left side of the keeper. It was incredible how he said it. It is something where you have to score a 10 over 10 for the keeper. Everyone in Colombia.
Yes, absolutely.
There's nothing to regret. However, this referee, he might know a lot about baseball, but he has no idea what football is.
He has no idea.
Not a single clue. And there's something else, Victor Hugo. You can ask for the VAR. And even though he saw the Colombian players, he didn't allow this to happen. And there are other 2 times where you can see English players diving, both Linger and the center half, Maguire, in Colombia's area, and they weren't booked. So, are we abiding by the rules, or we do whatever we want? And the players are then ridiculized. Those here, the ones who people want to watch, not the referee. No one wants to watch a keeper. If you're not able to acknowledge the referee, then this is a good type of referee. However, this one, he's a thief.
Diego, when we go to our commercial break, we have prepared something in order to go on to the second block of our program, in order to make us smile and to be able to leave this rut that we are in right now, which is completely justified as well. And obviously of this terrible sorrow that we have while we're sitting in Colombia's shoes, it breaks our heart.
It's unbelievable. And once again, I would like to apologize to the Colombian people, to this camera, because players, well, we're not the ones choosing the referees. Refs are chosen by Colina, who was chosen by Infantino to change and create a new FIFA of thieves and match fixers. And today, we saw the exact opposite, the old FIFA with match fixing.
Can you please help us? We want to go to our commercial break. We will be back.
We will be back de la Mano del Diez.
We have a very beautiful time to share about Maradona, which is always shown to our friends and they love it. The house that was bought to you by Argentinos Jr. Do you remember the street name?
The street? Yeah, Lascano.
Lascano, absolutely. Lascano 2750, right?
Lascano 2577.
Anyway, that house has a very particular story. It will become a museum.
It's going to be a museum, yeah.
Here it is the place where Diego arrived with Fiorito to this neighborhood of La Paternal in Argentina, which is a very important neighborhood.
heavy neighborhood, beautiful neighborhood.
It's a very beautiful neighborhood as well. But let's go watch Diego's house. We are standing right in front of what was the first house that Diego Armando Maradona owned. Diego lived in this house up until pretty much 1980. He lived here for 2 years. And the buying of the house was a very important decision to make because we were talking about the year 1978. Diego was already well known across the world, and it seemed really absurd that he did not own his house. And the same people from the club were the ones who brought the idea in order for them to buy the house here in Lascano Street. And the club had to buy it. And that was how the house was bought.
With our management, we rented him his first cows for Diego Maradona, but not because we were very nice. No, because we didn't rent a house for all of the lads. We rented a house for him because he was Diego.
He lived very beautiful moments here at this house. He played on the streets, in this table when he played cards. So he was very much part of this neighborhood. He was very healthy. He was here drinking soft drinks. He was very healthy.
Diego's sisters used to laugh, and it was very funny for them to see all the things that we have here and how we put together the house according to the time they lived in. And that's why this is not the work of just one day. It's over 30 years worth of work.
The room was the place where people were more excited about looking at. The room and the kitchen. He lived in the kitchen pretty much because it was a place where people had rendezvous there. And a lot of players came to this kitchen as well. And they used to tell us about that golden time that they spent with Diego. They were very young. Then we have also the newspaper clippings where we have all of the story with the pop-up museum that Diego had, and we are able to compile all of the materials that is truthful that what Diego lived in this house for certain. What is not known is not put there, and what you do not love is lost, and what is lost you do not remember. Therefore, we have this neighborhood here, which isn't a rich neighborhood. And in order to be able to have this, which is an emblem of the love that Diego had, he was another person with the neighborhood, and he was loved a lot in the neighborhood, and it's a thanks for everything that Diego did for the club and also for our neighborhood and Argentina in general.
Hermoso.
Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful memories. This is the famous. Well, it was the money that I asked, and Perez was this person. I remember that he was a member of the board of Argentinos Juniors, and I think he's a lawyer. And I told him, listen, what do you want the premium for? And he said, well, listen, I want this to buy the house for my mother. We are renting right now, and he doesn't remember this, but I do. Francis had me renting a small apartment in Villa del Parque. Yep. 2750 was the street in Villa del Parque. I don't remember specifically
Pero,
which one it was, but still.
desde ese alquiler,
Ever since I
yo
rented that
pasé
house,
a ir a la selección mayor.
I started playing for the national team.
Entonces, desde la selección mayor,
And ever
cuando
since
me
I
sacan
became
a
a
mí
part of the national team,
de los 20
when I
de
was
los 22 que quedaban,
taken away from the 22
éramos
players that were
25,
left, there were
salimos
25
Botaniz, Bravo y yo.
in the shortlist, and then Botnis, Bravo, and myself were left out of the
Vengo
shortlist.
a Consoli
And then I came to
a renovar el
Consoli
contrato,
to renew my contract,
porque después
because after
de ese mal trago que pasé
that
con
difficult
Chacarita,
moment I had with Menotti,
jugué el partido con Chacarita. ese
I
famoso
played that
que
game with Chacarita. Remember the game that I told you where I scored the
estaba
hat trick?
imparable,
I was
estaba al
playing
ritmo de
at
selección.
my best. I had the pace of a national team, and I was ready to play for the 1978 Argentinian team. And he told me, listen, I will not give you a premium.
Yo te voy a comprar la casa para tu mamá.
I said, I'm going to buy you the house for your mother. And I said,
Y yo, ¿para qué cree que usted se cree que yo le
but what
dejo
do you
la plata
think?
para
You
comprarme
think
una
that
Ferrari?
you're just buying me a Ferrari? No, no, no. I am the one paying. I haven't even met him.
La vida mía pasaba
So my life
por sacar a mi vieja de la villa.
was just about to take my mother away from the slums.
Éramos
You were
felices,
happy there then?
éramos felices.
Yes,
No
we were
teníamos-
happy. We
no
were
teníamos
happy.
bicicleta, no
We didn't
teníamos,
have a bike,
a veces la pelota
and
escaseaba,
often
porque
we didn't even have balls to play football with. But
traía de algún
there was
lado,
always someone who brought one,
y jugábamos en la calle, en
and
la
we
tierra.
used to play it at the streets.
Me acuerdo
And I
que
remember
a las 4 de la tarde
that at 4
siempre
p.m.,
mamás nos
mother
a lavar, vestir,
would
para
always
recibir
ask
a papá
us
que venía del trabajo.
to be well dressed to welcome dad coming home from work. He would wake up at 4 a.m. and he would arrive home at 4 p.m.
O sea, por eso
That's why
muchas veces cuando dicen
often when they say
que yo fui un mal educado, no.
that I was a brat, this is not true.
Yo, si quieren, fui
Maybe
un mal aprendido.
I did not learn well, but I was well educated because my parents gave me all the respect in the world and all the love.
Que hoy por ahí tienen los juguetes de nuestros hijos.
Love that often is given by the toys of our children, and they were the ones who were able to cover these gaps with their love, with a kiss in the morning,
Cuando venía de la fábrica.
or to welcome dad when he came back from the factory.
Hacemos una pausa,
Let's go
Diego.
to a commercial break, Diego.
Let's go to the break.
Ya venimos. De
We will be right back in.
Mano del Diez.
De la mano del 10.
un gran artista.
Un artista.
Santi Spiga.
Santi,
Un gran artista.
un artista.
Santi Spiga.
Santi. Santi,
Un gran artista.
un artista.
Santi Spiga. Santi Spiga. Vino bien, ¿no?
It's going very well in order to go past that emotion that was generated by the first block of our match with Diego's memories. And we can talk about football again then.
Yes, we can speak about football. The memories about my parents, who are both in heaven right now, and they're always together with me. And yes, we can continue to speak about football.
Sweden, Switzerland.
This is a game. I was watching the game. I wanted to watch the game just to see what was the level of both teams. Because honestly, they hadn't shown a lot before. And they were facing each other at a moment of the World Cup that every team would like to be. And it was Sweden and Switzerland. And none of these teams mean a lot in Europe. Because they cross the ball. Maybe from time to time there's a player as Zlatan who goes to the stage as a Swedish who was a great player. But beyond that, today you didn't have a single player that was well known. But neither did we have the type of tactics that they often play. Because when they like technique, they often have perfect tactic. No, they were just crossing the ball and crossing the ball and crossing the ball. And the center halves, I don't know what happened. Maybe they have bruises all over their head because they were just hitting the ball away. It was terrible. And the goal, well, number 10, Forsberg, who's a very, very good player, kicked the ball. And when he shot, it was a very savable kick. However, the center back of Switzerland crossed his foot, and then the ball changed direction, and it was in.
What do you think that number 10 is always the shirt that belongs to the best player?
I don't know. I always thought that my responsibility was to get the ball. Get the ball. And whenever I was fouled, Pellerano and Fran, Agresta del Cerro as well. He was from Uruguay as well. They said, okay, if you kick him, I know where you live and I will find you. That's what they used to tell the rest of the players, the opposite team, because the one who had to create a game was me. And it was difficult, it was tough to play in Argentinos Juniors, that was a team of the neighborhood that wasn't as big against bigger teams, or save us from relegation. That was our championship. So everyone's speaking about what Argentino Junior was able to win after I left the team. After I left the team, were players that were able even to reach Copa Libertadores. But it was with the money of all the players of Francisco Cornejo. And everyone should remember this. Because our championship, our goal was to always set Argentinos Juniors in the next first division.
Let's come back, Diego. Let's talk about Belgium a little bit. The Japanese players were giving a huge surprise.
Listen, I think that the Japanese didn't know what to do after they saw how easy it was for them to score 2 past Courtois, who's a great keeper. All of a sudden, they were winning 2-0, a game that was a tough one. And Belgium wasn't able to connect things together. And this is not about the Japanese, I guess, because the Japanese, well, they can score 2 goals, as they did past Courtois. But Hazard wasn't playing well, neither was De Bruyne, nor was Lukaku. And the wingbacks were inaccurate with their passes, and they weren't communicating. Hazard wasn't playing well. This is the player that we often see in Chelsea, where he's often dribbling past 3 or 4 players. So De Bruyne, who's a player who is the star of Manchester City.
por Bélgica, que después
And then Belgium had all the responsibility in the world to turn things around.
saliendo a jugar los jugadores
And they were playing with the players that I spoke about.
I really liked number 9's movement. He is a top goal scorer, but he is able to move away from the ball in order to let it go past. He dummies it.
Of course. He had an option in the first half where he shoot with his left foot, and he was between 3 players. And he turned his body like this. He got the ball, he turned and passed. And I said, he is a real striker. Why? Because he was by himself. He doesn't have to become the pivot there. He is the one who should shoot on goal. And the one where he opens his legs in order to let the ball pass him was during the last 10 seconds of the game. It was the added time.
Of course.
And it was very, very difficult. And then he faked it, and the other one came in.
A goalkeeper does not have to shoot it immediately. Therefore, you have to have that possibility, which is fantastic.
It's impressive. It's great. It's very, very good.
Do you have friends in Quilmes, right?
I do.
Let's say hello to Universidad Nacional Television of Quilmes in Argentina. We want to say hello to the people from Tanzania's Sport Arena. And there's a huge amount of channels in Nicaragua.
Nicaragua.
Do you remember Nicaragua?
Of course I do. Nicaragua. With Sandino. Nicaragua. I have a lot of friends there.
Well, tomorrow we are going to have an analysis of everything because we are confronting the quarterfinals of the World Cup.
We are.
So let's invite our friends to come watch it with us tomorrow.
So you're invited for tomorrow, de la Mano Del Diez, with Victor Hugo and Diego Maradona.
See you tomorrow.
See you tomorrow. Go! Go!
Uribe once again.
Come on, come on! Oh, the ball that he was able to take away. What was the keeper able to save? I was already screaming. Huh.
Everybody's grabbing each other in the area.
Come on, come on, come on, come on, go! Go, 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 go! Yeah! Yes! Waste time now, waste time now. Come on, waste time now.
Look at that. That was fantastic, Fremina.
Come on, man. That's it, that's it.
Now we're gonna win it.
Waste time now, waste time now. Come on, come on. Impressive, impressive. Impressive. What a goal.
Welcome to Interviews from Mexico. I'm Laura Carlson, and I'll be your host as we look at cutting-edge issues with the men and women who know them best, here on teleSUR. The coalition that brought Andrés Manuel López Obrador to power in the July 1st elections here in Mexico was called Juntos Haremos Historia. Together we'll make history. And they did. The elections broke records and they broke molds. It broke records because it was the highest number of voters to come out for an election in history. And it was also the highest number of voters to vote for one single candidate. He won with 53% of the votes, and many new, especially young people, were added to the voter rolls. It broke molds because it's the first time in recent history that Mexico has elected a left-leaning candidate.